Hey, shalom, shalom, and the stuff. So it's about giving no praise to Yahweh, Shemel, Shabbat, Shemakah, Kodash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and honors to you brothers in the work and truth, war, sincerity. This is a just a quick one on the way home. The geezer had a tattoo of chariots, and basically the chariots were beaming up a house, lifting up a house, right? I'm just gonna do a video on the chariots and how ultimately although they will come to destroy, right, the duality of it is that they're also coming to save. The balance of it is that they're also coming to save, right? And one of the things that they're coming to save, right, obviously they come and save people, but it's also potentially your household, right? For instance, you read Isaiah 4:1. In fact, let's just go there real quick, right? Because it's all part of the same thing. It says Isaiah 4:1, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, right? That number 7 there is a figurative, right, representing a complete amount, right? So in that day, a complete amount of women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, right? And that's a man of the Lord, right? And they're basically saying, look, we won't be a burden unto you, just protect us, right? Because a man of the Lord in that day, in the time of salvation, he's going to be saved, him, and if the Lord wills, him and his household. Right? But how is he going to be saved? My friends, as we teach that the whole of America is going to be destroyed, right? So then how are the brothers over there in the land of America gonna get out there safely? And that's through these chariots, right? So this is 1 Thessalonians 4. I'm gonna start from verse 16. Right, it says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Yahushua shall rise first. All the men that have died doing the work in truth and sincerity, right there in the spirit world, they'll be risen with the Lord, right? They're going to be risen first, right? It says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, so in the chariots, right? So friends, you might see the age-old thing of a flying saucer beaming up someone, right? These are going to be the things that are going to be witnessed in these last days, right? And in fact, let me grab that real quick as well. It says Wisdom 5 from the top. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors, right? And that's what we're doing right now. We're standing bold in front of all our enemies. Read Psalms 83. Basically, all these heathens are our enemies, right? And says, and made no account of his labors, right? Because Jake as a nation, were classed as lazy, right? We're classed as, just stealing, or, stealing benefits, or, this, that, and the other, just bywords. But then it goes on to say, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, right? And shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, right? And that's because we're going to be saved via them chariots, what the so-called white man calls UFOs, or nowadays UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenons, right? Which they are identified many times throughout the scriptures, right? The pillar of light by night, right? In what do you call it? In the time of the Exodus, right? Acts 1:9. When our Lord Yahushua was taken away from the disciples, right? Revelation 1:7, when the Lord is coming back, right? As we just read also in 1 Thessalonians, shall meet them in the clouds, right? Isaiah 66:15, about how the clouds are coming to do some destruction, right? It says with terrible fear, yeah, because that's a strange sight, right? It's a fearful sight, right? And part of the fear is because in their eyes, well, where it says in verse 3, it says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and the proverb of reproach. So basically, we thought it was a piece of shit. Right? We fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. Right? So once again, they just thought Jake weren't worth of anything. right? That we wouldn't amount to anything. Right? We're just niggas, spicks, wetbacks, whatever byword that they had for us, right? And then it goes on to say, how is he numbered among the children of the Most High, and his lot among the saints, right? So I continue on. It says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words, right? And they are comforting, because once again we teach, right, that America is going to be destroyed, right, completely. You read Isaiah the 34th chapter, Revelation 18, Jeremiah 49, 50 and 51, right? Different scriptures detailing the fact that America, via its many names that it's given in the scriptures, right, it is going to be destroyed. Right? Sometimes it's known as Babylon, sometimes it's known as Egypt, right? But it is going to be destroyed. So brothers might be thinking, oh shit, it's going to be destroyed, but how am I going to make it out? Right? Well, the chariots, right, that should comfort you, right? Because whilst the missiles are flying, the chariots are going to be nuking, and the chariots are also going to be saving, right? This is Matthew 24:30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, right? And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, right? Yeah, because he's coming to destroy, right? It says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and glory. As you read Isaiah 47:3, it says, I shall not meet thee as a man. Because the last time the Lord came, he came as a man and they killed him. But this time he's coming in his great glory, right? He's coming with his accolades, when people ain't going to be able to fight him. Right, it says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, right, from one end of heaven to the other, right? It says, so it says, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. So from all over the world. Why? Because you're gonna have Israelites scattered all over the world, right? And but this is part of the salvation. Right, so you can imagine, you can have, you have them films where you got the big, got big ship, the farther ship, right, and then you have, maybe the drones or whatever. We don't know how it's gonna be, right? But just you got all of these different films that help depict this salvation that is to come, right? But once again, the point being made is that salvation is going to come from those chariots, right? It says Isaiah 31:5, says, as birds flying, so will the Lord Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it, right? So, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place, right? It was it 2 Maccabees 5:19? Nevertheless, the Most High did not choose the people for the place's sake, but the place for the people's sake, right? So Israel, Jerusalem, it's a people before it is a place, right? And once again, right, ultimately, that's, like I said, the inspiration came from that guy who had like a chariot beaming up a house, right? I'm gonna take that to representing, you go and have what do you call it? You go and have the salvation is going to come to you, and if the Lord rules your household, right? And even as I'm thinking about it, part of the roof, part of that house was missing, right? Because not everyone will make it. Some might make it, some might not make it, right? That's between them and the Most High, but that's one of the things we hope for, right? You might have someone in your quote household, right, but they may end up taking the chip. The Lord might put the spirit on them to take the chip. That might be a woman, right? But then she didn't have time to, chip your kids. So, the Lord may have it whereby you get saved with your children, but your woman gets taken out of the game, right? They take a look at Lot. Lot was saved with his children, but his woman got taken out of the game, right? So this whole thing, once again, we do it for ourselves, right? Seek out your own salvation, but also the hope is that our family can be saved. Right? It says Acts 16:30, and brought them out and said, sirs, what must I do to be saved? right? And they said, believe on the Lord, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, and thou shalt be saved, and thy house. Right, not in, you know, and that's not talking about the bricks and the mortar. That's talking about, you know, the people that are in that house that will, you know, call by his name, you know, his kinsfolk, right? It says 1 Corinthians 7:14, right? For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Elsewhere your children unclean, but now they are holy. Right, so they'll bring this one out because it's such a thing of your woman doesn't even need to know what you do, right? But the Lord may have it whereby, you know, your woman is saved, but she didn't even know, but she's saved through you, right? For instance, Scripture says she shall be saved. It says 1 Timothy 2:15, notwithstanding she shall be saved in childbearing, right, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. Right, now that's not literal childbearing, but basically, you know, she's your woman, right? The Lord may and you know, rather she's your woman, she's there till the end, till the chariots come, and she's gonna be saved with you. Right, now if she takes the chip, right, then that's on her, right? The judgment is set. Right, so Revelation 7:9 says, after this I beheld and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood. You know, these are all Israelites, right, scattered throughout all the earth, as we read in Matthew 24. Right, it says, clothed with white robes and palms in their hand. Right, now I'll bring this up because that great multitude is, you know, you're going to have the elect, you know, there's a governing body, which is 144,000, which is the governing body. Let me say it that way. Let me rephrase that. The 144,000, which is the governing body. Right, but then you're going to have the multitude, which is the, you know, the elect. And you're going to have wives and children in that number, right? And, in fact, glass mingled. Spell. This is Revelation 15:2 says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, right? And that's the firmament. And then that had gotten victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. Right, so the elect gonna be in the chariot. Right, we gonna be Lord's will we of that number. Well, we gonna be, you know, above the firmament, right, above the, you know, the heavens, looking down on the earth, sort of like at the end of Terminator 3, where you get that shot, and you're seeing all the missiles flying. Right, you see the fire happening, right, sort of like that. Right, we're gonna be seeing, right, the earth getting destroyed, right, in those chariots, right, the chariots of salvation, right. So yeah, Lord's will those edifying. Till the next time, Shalom.